What if motivation is the very thing keeping you weak? Most people believe successful people wake up every morning feeling inspired, energized, ready to conquer the day. But that's not reality. The truth is darker than that. If you only work when you feel motivated, you've already surrendered control of your life to your emotions. And emotions are unreliable. Some days they're high, some days they disappear completely. Yet somehow, the most disciplined people in the world still keep moving. So, what secret do they understand that most people never will? Motivation feels powerful because of something called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that's not entirely true. It's actually the chemical of anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine when it expects a reward. That's why you suddenly feel motivated after watching a motivational video, planning a new life, or imagining your future success. But here's the problem. Dopamine spikes before effort, not during it, which means motivation is naturally temporary. Your brain gives you a small emotional advance payment hoping you'll take action. But modern life has hacked this system. Social media, gaming, endless scrolling, these things give your brain tiny dopamine hits without requiring difficult effort. So your brain slowly learns a dangerous lesson: why struggle for rewards when easier rewards already exist? That's why discipline feels harder than ever before. Not because you're broken, but because your brain has been trained to chase stimulation instead of progress. Here's the scary part. Your brain doesn't care about your goals. It cares about conserving energy. That means your default settings are designed to keep you comfortable, not exceptional. There's another psychological trap almost nobody talks about. It's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance happens when your actions and identity contradict each other. For example, you believe you're ambitious, but you procrastinate every day. Your brain hates this contradiction. So instead of changing behavior, it changes the story. You start saying things like, I work better under pressure. I'm just waiting for the right moment. I need to feel inspired first. These excuses reduce psychological discomfort, but they also keep you trapped. This is why people become addicted to preparation. They buy books, watch productivity videos, plan their future, but never actually begin. Because preparation feels productive without risking failure. And failure is what the ego fears most. The terrifying truth is this: some people spend their entire lives emotionally preparing to live instead of living. Imagine two people. One feels motivated once a week. The other feels tired almost every day, but still acts anyway. Who wins after 5 years? Now here's the part most people never hear. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's neurological training. Your brain changes based on repeated behavior. This is called neuroplasticity. Every action strengthens certain neural pathways. In simple terms, the more you repeat something, the easier it becomes. That applies to both good habits and destructive habits. If you constantly avoid difficult tasks, your brain strengthens avoidance pathways. But if you repeatedly act despite discomfort, your brain adapts. This is why disciplined people often appear naturally productive. They're not relying on motivation anymore. Their behaviors became automated. The brain loves efficiency. Once an action becomes familiar, it stops resisting it as strongly. At first, discipline feels painful because you're fighting existing wiring. But eventually, discipline becomes identity. And identity is stronger than emotion. The goal is not to feel motivated. The goal is to become someone who acts regardless of feelings. That's real freedom. Most people think successful people have more motivation. In reality, they simply have fewer negotiations with themselves. So how do you escape the motivation trap? Don't aim for massive transformation. Aim for psychological proof. Choose one difficult action so small your brain can't reject it. One push-up. 5 minutes of studying, writing one sentence. That's it. Because action creates identity evidence. Every time you follow through, your brain updates its self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who acts. This creates momentum, and momentum is far more reliable than motivation. The key is consistency during low energy days. Anybody can act when inspired. Your real identity is revealed on ordinary days. At the end of the day, motivation is emotional weather. Some days it appears, some days it doesn't, but people who transform their lives stop depending on weather conditions. They build systems, they build identity, and most importantly, they learn to move even when their emotions say stop. Because the people who change the world are rarely the most motivated. They're the ones who mastered themselves. If you refuse to stay controlled by moods, distractions, and excuses, subscribe. Because this channel is for people who want discipline over dopamine, clarity over comfort, and action over endless waiting.